The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to recognize Senator Nenadi Usman as the interim national chairman of the Labour Party. This follows a ruling by Justice Peter Lifu, who cited a Supreme Court judgment from April 2025 that declared the tenure of Julius Abure's leadership expired. The ruling effectively removes Abure from the helm of the party and installs a caretaker committee led by the former Minister of Finance, Senator Usman. But the Abure-led faction isn't backing down, as they have vowed to appeal the ruling and insist that they remain the legitimate leadership. Joining us for this discussion is Public Affairs Analyst, Professor Simon Nnah, who's here with us in the studio. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right, it's great to have you here. Much
you.
later, we hope to be joined by Mr. Abayomi Arabambi, and we hope that we can have a fuller conversation as to what the implications of this are, especially because the Federal High Court has ruled and INEC has been ordered to recognize Senator Nenadi Usman. What's your take on this?
Well, my take is that the court has spoken. I read some of the outcome of the court last night and listened to news too. And Abure is hinging his argument on the fact that the court cannot determine what happens in a party. That is an internal affairs of the party. But the court reminded him that no, this is not internal wrangling in the party alone. There was a Supreme Court judgment in 2025 that equally removed him, and the judge hinged his argument on that the Supreme Court had already done that. So I don't know why he is still saying that he's been there. He's been there. He was there as caretaker and then elected. So what is he looking for? You see, if not, that's the question that should be asked. What is he looking for? Except they destroy some of these political structures, they won't rest.
Now,
under normal circumstances, one expected that he would have allowed, sleeping dogs to lie.
No, you said destroy.
After this judgment.
Do you think he would destroy what he loves? Because, I mean, he loves to be in the Labour Party, but or do you think there's someone orchestrating the destruction?
Sorry. Well, I've said it here before. It's a leprous hand that is doing that. And I said it, I'm going to repeat myself, for fear of being sounding like a broken record. Sorry. I said it earlier. These things are the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob. If a bird is dancing, there must be somebody around beating drums for that bird that is dancing. So we know where some of these things are coming from, because, look at it from this paradigm. Let's do a trajectory of all the political parties. PDP was the first to have issues. You just said, can he destroy what he loves? Somebody that loves PDP and claims to love PDP has eventually destroyed PDP. He claims to love PDP because he said from 1999 to date that has never left PDP. He is one of those that have never left PDP. So from that, you can say that he loves PDP. But he is the person now that is putting a nail in the coffin of PDP. Right. So back to Labour. Now, if you trace that, PDP started having issues, and before you know it, court cases here and there, convention or no convention, chairman or no chairman. Some people moved and went to SDP. SDP immediately started going to court. SDP had never gone to court before. Trace it. Before this period, that the coalition now wanted to use SDP. They started going to court. They started fighting themselves. Now, as if that was not enough, they said, okay, let's move from SDP to ADC. ADC started having its own issues again. They started filing court cases here and there.
That brings me to my
question. Now, let me land on this. Now, the Osun governor now felt, because of the fight in PDP, that he might not, INEC might not recognize candidate of PDP. He now said, okay, let me move to a smaller party, Accord. Accord started having issues. So you don't need, a baby died in the night.
The witch cried in the night.
The witch cried in the night and the baby died in the morning. You don't need to ask who killed the baby.
Maybe it's malaria that killed us. But let's talk about a theme that kept reoccurring in your opening statement, and that's the courts. Some have criticized our democracy as a sort of judicial democracy. It's the job of INEC to conduct elections and also announce results. But oftentimes you see these results are contested, even internal party politics. Everybody just heads to the court. What does this mean for our democracy? And is it that we as adults cannot properly organize ourselves or settle disputes internally that we're always going to the courts for one issue or the other? The courts are inundated with political cases.
Apologies to the late fella. We don't have a democracy yet. What we have, according to fella then, and what is playing out now is demonstration of grace. That's what we have. There's no democracy yet. Because in a democracy, you cannot say presidency is not served a la carte. You have to grab it and run with it. Is that democracy? That's demonstration of grace. So at the end of the day, we don't have democracy yet. Maybe we will later have that, because democracy defined simply as
government for the people, by the people,
and for the people. Is that what we have now? No, we have government by the elite, for the elite. That's what we have.
Okay. Now, the party division at the national level is not just, doesn't just affect the national leaders, even the leaders, in other ramifications. In some measure, maybe you might categorize Governor Oti as the national leader, even though he doesn't have the officially elected position, right? But there are those who argue that maybe it's time for Governor Oti to leave the Labour Party, saying as it hasn't yet fixed its house, and a house divided within itself cannot stand. What would be your take about that?
If I'm to advise Governor Oti, I would ask him to tarry a bit. And I will tell you why I'm saying that. I don't see, except things happen the way it's going now, and I will tell you that. I'm going to just give me a little time to explain what I mean. If they go by the normal electoral process, I don't see Obi picking the ticket of ADC.
Who do you see picking up the ticket?
Atiku, of course, Atiku. Because he has the deep pocket. He has the deep pocket. Obi is not going to give shish. And this guy will use his deep pocket to pick the ticket. There are no two ways about it. The only thing is that the ruling party wants to stop him. Don't forget, you see, at times, people don't understand how these things play out. When they went for Okowa, they were not actually going for Okowa. They were going for Atiku. Because they know what transpired. Okowa has come out to say that the money he collected, 100 billion, was given to Atiku, and it was the son that was coming to pick that was why the son was first picked. And the son now has gone to APC, so he's now a saint. Because we have been rightly told in this country that if you're a sinner, if you cross over to APC, you become a saint. So the son has now become a saint. So the only sinner now is Atiku.
You've raised a number of issues. So basically, if I'm to go by what you are saying...
I've not landed.
I know you haven't landed. I don't want us to forget this. Okay, yes. Please go ahead. I just wanted us to talk about Atiku's son. When you are done, address Atiku's son moving, because you've made mention of that, but please go ahead. Okay.
So at the end of the day, now if they go against Atiku, that's the only time Obi can pick that ticket. So why I said Oti should tarry a bit is that in the event that Atiku picks that ticket, people like Professor Patrick Utom have said unequivocally that if Obi plays a second fiddle, he will leave that party. This lady from Kaduna, what's her name again? Aisha, categorically said, I have never picked the card of any political party before. I am picking this card of ADC because of Obi. If he plays second fiddle, I'll chicken out. The main obedient platform has equally told Obi that it's either you are the candidate or we're out. So that tells me that if Obi fails to pick the ticket, he might look for another political platform.
Well, he's said it
pursue.
categorically that he's not leaving, even if he doesn't pick the ticket.
Well, let's pray he doesn't, because the only thing is that Obi has proven to be a different politician. Otherwise, I would have said you don't trust politicians. The late MKO said he was done with politics after they have cancelled the presidential election once or twice. He said he was done. And again, he now went, rumor now came out that he now went to pick the ticket of SDP when IBB now floated the two parties, SDP and the NLC. And he picked the ticket of SDP, the primaries. So journalists went to meet him at the airport. Chief, you said you are done with politics. He turned around and said, and you believe that? Then you are not a politician. So that tells you who politicians are.
Okay, before we move on to another thing,
Yeah.
just going off what you said when you were explaining the dynamics of why you don't think Governor Oti should leave the Labour Party, you made reference to Atikuson going to the APC and it being an avenue for him to be like they say, deodorized.
Yes,
Bring us
yes.
back to use that.
Yeah, Sani said,
So you
Senator
believe
Sani
that
said that.
it's planned work? You believe that it's political strategy as opposed to the fact that he maybe doesn't believe in his father's ability to clinch?
No. It's not that. It's not that he doesn't believe in his father to clinch the ticket. You see, this guy has been working with his father. It is a political strategy to be left off the hook because it's been proven that he was the guy that was picking the money from Okoa. And EFCC had gotten that record. So if he fails to do the needful, they will teach him a lesson. So his best bet was to go over to APC and quench that fire that might consume him. So at the end of the day, if he now becomes a saint, another sinner is in the making. So except the opposition will start crying foul, that they are doing that to muzzle opposition and stuff like that, and that will, the ruling party will now listen to that and back down. Otherwise, watch out what is going to happen.
Now, Prof, now that the court has recognized Senator Nenadi Usman as the legitimate leader of the Labour Party, I do understand that the Abure faction has said they will be challenging this in court. They're going to appeal. But from the look of things, does it mean that we're beginning to see a Labour Party that is putting its house in order? And will this be the end of the internal wranglings once a decisive decision is made on this?
I don't see this as the end of the internal wranglings.
I mean, the courts would have made a pronouncement. And,
Yes. You have forgotten that at the twilight of the last election, in 2022, it was the same issue that when the Labour Party thought that they were on the right path after their chairman passed on, and that was how Abure came in. They felt that with Abure, they are coasting clear. But somewhere from the blues, what's his name, Apapa, came up with Arabambi.
Yes, Lamidi Apapa.
And then you still had that faction again, something that everybody thought, with the way things were going, that the issue had been laid to rest. So I don't see this being the end of the wrangling in Labour, because they still want to weaken the opposition.
So you think some elements might throw spanners into their works?
Of course, which they have
But
already
are they
done.
such a big threat anymore now that Mr. Peter Obi has left the party? Do you think that the ruling party or detractors might want to, what would they gain from destabilizing the Labour Party?
Well, Peter Obi left, but his deputy is still there. That is still there, and that he wants to fly the flag of the party.
Well, he's come out to deny that, though.
That he will fly the flag.
Yes, he came to deny that it's just rumors.
Okay.
However,
That's politicians for you, because I listened to him not social media, I listened to him, say that he was not leaving the Labour Party, and he was going to build the Labour Party to the level that it will become the envy of other political parties. What does that tell you?
Okay,
well,
so
they've come out to, sorry, just to follow up on that. After the court announced Nenadi Usman, the Julius Abure leadership has come out to say that they're going to go to the appeal court.
Yeah?
That they would not allow that stand. They must ensure that they go to the appeal court. The question is, why is it that the court is just recognizing Nenadi Usman after Peter Obi has left the party?
These are the issues.
Why is it that the court did not acknowledge Nenadi Usman right during the time when Peter Obi was still there?
You see, I've said it on this table before. I'm going to say it again. One of the major challenges we have in this, their so-called democracy, is the courts. In Ghana, you can Google that. Politicians are afraid of courts. When you mention court, they're afraid. In Nigeria, politicians will tell you with a wave of hand, go to court. Why? Because they know nothing will come out of it. Once you have a deep pocket, you can shop your judgment anywhere. So that's the problem. That's the problem we have here. Recall what happened in PDP. People were shopping judgments here and there. So people in Abuja will shop their own in Abuja. People in Oyo will shop their own in Oyo. Others will shop elsewhere.
These are very weighty allegations, and it borders on impugning the integrity of the Nigerian judiciary. Do you have any evidence to perhaps back this? Or
I've given you evidences, and they're asking for evidence again. Which other evidence do you want?
So I think another thing to add to that question would be, we see how Nigerians have taken court orders. Unfortunately, they don't seem to take it seriously. So it's one thing for the court to say, to give a judgment. It's another thing for it to be implemented.
The CJN came out to make a comment earlier. And I was reading about, but I don't want to believe that because I have not confirmed that. That one of the judges that have been given such judgments has been suspended. I don't want to mention his name because I've not fact-checked it. I just saw it this morning.
Is it the popular judge that has been handling the PDP case?
That has been suspended by the CJ, by the, what's it called now?
The Judicial Council.
But having said
that's what I'm saying. I have not confirmed that. I needed to fact check it, but I didn't have time to fact check that because social media can carry all manner of stories.
Absolutely.
So I needed to fact check it before I can say anything.
If ordinary Nigerians have lost faith in what used to be known as the last hope of a common man, what message does this send, and where's the hope for the common man, really?
No, it's the worst nightmare of the common man now. It's the worst nightmare of the common man. So except anything changes tomorrow, and it's a call-up, it's a wake-up call, rather, for the judiciary, for the NJC to sit up and do something, and do it fast. And the only way these things happen is when you begin to sanction people. Because even the scripture said, when justice is not speedily executed, the heart of men is said to do evil. So when you don't set examples with people, see, I normally tell people that Nigerians are law-abiding citizens. The challenge they have is leadership. And I proved that with the Buhari-Abure regime. All they needed was bring out a decree and now use somebody as a scapegoat. Nigerians will sit up. In that regime, you cannot eat something in the bus and throw it out. They caught, if you are caught, you are gone. You go to jail.
War against indiscipline.
War against indiscipline, you know. And that was because they had a leader like Idiabo that knew what he wanted and went for what he wanted. I'm choosing my words carefully. Yeah. And I'm choosing the names carefully too.
Okay, so we just have to wait for things to unfold. Court has given judgment. They've said they will challenge it. It's whether they will respect the judgment of the court, you know, or they've gotten this theory of execution. I guess in the future.
They're going to the appeal court. So my worry is you're trying to
maybe that's where Mr. Arabambi is this morning.
Yeah, because by the way, Mr. Arabambi, who is a regular and has been a very outspoken member of the Julius Abure-led Labour Party.
After being an outspoken member of Apapa.
Apapa
Lamidi
was supposed to join. Apapa, I heard, is about to join the ADC.
Okay.
Jokes though.
Where is Lamidi Apapa?
He's in Apapa.
I guess it's in Apapa. You've answered the question.
Thank you so much for joining us.
That's the
this
story.
morning.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Have a lovely day.